You're listening to WHIW LP 101.3 FM, Harvard, Illinois. Harvard Broadcasting.
You're listening to the Angling Waters Outdoors Fishing Network.
Hey, this is Man Moorigan from UFO Buster Radio, and when I'm not out blowing up aliens and UFOs, oh, that was close, I'm listening to Angling Waters Outdoors with Marty Angler. I pick up some great fishing tips for those moments when things are not so hectic with these aliens from 4.2 far. So if you want to get some good fishing tips, you need to check out Angling Waters Outdoors. Enjoy the show, because I'm going to bag me an ET right about now. Hasta la vista, baby.
Welcome to the Angling Waters Outdoors Show with your guide and host, Marty Angler.
I lack ambition. Think I'd rather go fishing.
The Green Hornet's caught more fish than you've lied about, Gustafson.
That's right, and he has. Hello, everybody. How you doing out there? This is Marty Angler back with you again. Hey, you know what we're doing a little different today? Well, I'm recording it for YouTube. Oh, yeah. We're putting us out on YouTube. Hello, everybody. So go over to the Angling Waters Outdoors YouTube channel, and you can watch me do the show from the Angling Waters Outdoors studio. And we can, you see a little bit of what's going on in the background. So, as I'm waving to the camera, again. All right, now the camera's going to stay there. I want to test out the camera because we're going to do a lot of videos down the road with it. So, and as the future is coming around here for us, we have to figure out what avenues we're actually going to be doing. WHIW, what a wonderful, wonderful radio station. Has given me an awesome opportunity here to do Angling Waters Outdoors. But unfortunately, without sponsors, as of October 1st, I will be disappearing off of this channel. And, well, though I may be leaving, because, like bringing up sponsors, getting sponsors for any type of regular radio show is tough enough. To get one to sponsor you for radio fishing, well, and it's just one aspect of it. I mean, people think because they got to do one, they got to do it all. No, they don't. We would be asking for donations to sponsor the radio show on WHIW. If you can, that would be awesome. If you can't, well, we understand for sure. But, as it... Whoop. Oh, this radio station's going crazy. I was going to bring up the channel to bring up the wing, but the website started playing in my ears. But anyway, go on the WHIW website, look under sponsors, and you'll find out how to sponsor Angling Waters Outdoors if you're interested. If you're not, don't feel offended. We don't. I mean, if it's something you really want us to do, then, sponsor us. We have many other venues. We'll still have the Spreaker, IHeart, which we thank all them people out there for listening. Spotify, iTunes, or Apple, whatever it's called now, and many other platforms that we've been allowed to entertain in the future it'll get bigger. Definitely. We have fans all around the world. Unfortunately, I can't force anybody to monetize a part of my show. So we're throwing it to the YouTube part-time. We're going to try and get those going along with Spreaker. So who knows? You may start seeing the radio show being videotaped more and more often. But we'll see. I mean, anything can happen. At least that's what I've been told. But for enough of that stuff, let's talk fishing. All right, I'm tired of that. As you know, a couple weeks ago we had a hard time getting the reports. Wow, they've really gotten to where they want money too. And I put it to them kind of plainly. You know, I kind of help you out because I promote you and you promote me in a sense by letting me do it. So I get to help out the anglers. The website is outdoornews.com. They do the outdoor news and reports for Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, New York, Ohio, and yes, Illinois. And that's where I get my reports from. Now, I do have a subscription, and I did advise them of that. So they were gracious enough to allow me to go ahead and get a couple of reports. So I opted for Illinois and Wisconsin for now. I'm hoping, though, down the road, Minnesota will come back. Maybe Pennsylvania, New York, and Ohio will join in. But again, you know, it's a small-time radio show, and we're doing the best we can with the information we got. So, you know, there's a big, wide world out there, and we'll get those reports to you as we can. So, with that being said, who knows? Maybe even in the future, we'll go from an hour to an hour and a half to whenever we feel like stopping, because that's a possibility as well. So, excuse me, getting a little dry, but that's okay. Fishing, you know, we went out fishing a couple weeks ago, me and last Sunday, as a matter of fact, a couple weeks ago, last Sunday. My son and I went out, and right after all the rainstorms went through, we knew it was going to be tough. We just didn't figure out how tough it was going to be. So as we were deciding where we were going, my son Andy and I, we have this thing that we do where I'll ask him what he's throwing. And he usually, either he's topwater or he's into the plastics. And I'll do the opposite, or I'll do something different. Anyway, so we started out, he was throwing plastics and I was throwing inline spinners. I thought if nothing else, we'd get a few fish here and there. And then I switched over to the fluke, and I had a few chasers, but nothing really wanted to come in and go crazy. I got to get comfortable, sorry. Oh, man, I'm telling you, put a camera on me and I get fidgety. So here we are. And no, I didn't go live on Facebook because, well, we're going to put this out the same time that it comes on the radio show. Comes up. This way you don't get the show first. So anyway, back to my unfidgetiness. So as we're out there fishing, he grabbed a topwater lure and he started throwing it. And he likes certain different poppers, or poppers, and call him a popper because that's a trade name for one of my favorite lure, popper. But it's a popper. It's all it is. They're all poppers if they're topwater with a little circular mouth that when you pull it through the water, it spits water. All right, I'll leave it at that. Well, he had a couple of blow-ups, but they were not aggressive. They were just like, they come up to the top of the water and bumped it and then just left it. Well, so then I just, on a whim, I picked my whopper plopper up. I flung that out there, and I started reeling that in, and lo and behold, I caught the first fish. Not something you want to brag about. It was probably about 11, 12 inches. But, okay, so they want to chase, but how fast do they want to chase? And we were in the weeds. So we spun around, and I was throwing it out of the weeds in deeper water and bringing it back in. And, of course, one fish on one lure. I've had these days before. So I took out the popper, pitched it, and lo and behold, I got another one. Pitching it deep, bringing it in. And that wasn't a very big one either. Probably maybe a little bit bigger, not much bigger, but what are you going to do? I mean, we're searching for fish. We're searching for what they're going after. And by now, Andy has already changed over to something different. And then he decided to rig one of his rods up with a popper on it. And he was doing his thing too with it. And I had gotten bored of it, so I was throwing the inline spinner again, except now I had changed to a double-bladed homemade one that I've made. And I told you guys about me making these things. And I don't have any readily at the desk, otherwise I'd show it to the camera. Because I do want to talk about another bait, by the way. A couple of baits. So anyway, we were out there already about 2 hours, and I just turned and flung the bait into the shallow, brought it back, boom, and I hit one. And I went, wait a second. Got one deep, got one shallow. Actually, got two deeper, one shallow, on top of the weeds. And I'm like, they're down in the weeds. They're down in tight in the weeds. So I rigged out my my jig, my swim jig, which I love to use. Totally different than everybody else does. And then I picked up a creature bait. Now, a creature bait, and I'll show you one here if you go to the YouTube channel. It's a crawler. It's a crawler. This is a creature bait. You can see that one. No, I don't have a cameraman, so I can't zoom in on it. And, well, here's a funny story. I don't have creature baits. I had to steal one from Andy. And he had a Zoom that had been sitting in his bag for probably 20 years. So I had to go out and buy some. And lo and behold, we'll talk about that in a second. So anyway, I pitched it out in the weeds. We'll talk about that first. Pitched it out in the weeds, jigged it. And then I pulled it up out of the water. And then I seen a bass. And I pitched it in. It went to the ground. And she went after it. She picked it up. And she started swimming away. I could see her. I'm in less than 2 feet of water. And I can see this fish swimming away with my bait in its mouth. And it looked to me like the hook was inside its mouth. So I set the hook. Wrong answer. I set the hook. The lure come flying out. And she just kind of swam off like, what was that? Hey, where'd my feed go? So, gave me an idea. So I started pitching up in the weeds again. Nothing. And then we just kind of went out in front of this hump that goes into deep water. More like a point. And we kind of drifted across it because we were marking fish like crazy in the weeds. And they were kind of sparse, so we figured maybe we'd pull one up. And went back to the fluke, twitching the fluke. I like twitching the fluke. The disadvantage to the fluke, and as you can see, these are power baits. Now, if you've ever had a power bait, the power baits are made from fish oil and something else. All I know is you never want to remake these because you don't. They'll stink up your garage, your microwave, and everything. Oh, nasty, smelly. Here's another creature bait. And, of course, I bought these power baits. There's another one. I bought these power baits because I found them, and they're new. So that means... Now, I know the power baits the Berkeley used to make the power bait in a lot of things, but I don't think I've ever seen them on a fatty craw and chigger craw. But now I have them. And if you've ever used these things, they can be fantastic. When everything else, nobody's going in after anything else, these are the baits you want to use. Because they're the most real tasting, smelling, and almost real thing that you can look for. What really grabbed my attention is I've never seen these before. And I can't say I really looked for them, but I did spot these, and I said, oh, I got to get them. I have, and I'm giving away my favorite two colors here. This is a white fluke, and then the bluegill blue and with metal flake in it, blue with metal flake. That's like a bluegill, and man, they stink. They stink because I have them in my hands, so the smell is going to haunt me the rest of the day. That's okay, though. That's okay, because now the time of year is these baits here will really, sometimes fish just can't pass them up. They can't pass up. Anytime you get smell as a factor in your fishing, you can pick up your fishing to the next level. Not saying that it's always going to work, because they don't always work, but it's like anything else. You got to give the fish what they want. They're at your restaurant and you got to feed them. So, excuse me. And that smell is just, of course I had to rub my nose, but now I did it again. All right, so if you look on it, you'll see me rub my nose twice, and now I got the smell up my nose. Oh, that's real entertainment right there, buddy, let me tell you. So I'm getting ready to use these baits. Now, I told you a few weeks ago that I had this new rigging that I used some old lead weights with, and put them on a steel so that they sit on the bottom, steel, like a inline spinner wire. And I used that a little bit. Wow, that was nice. Let me tell you. I went through the weeds with an exposed hook. Literally an exposed hook, because that weight was just pulling it right along, just protecting it. It was awesome. Awesome. But if you get a chance, get some of these power bait flukes. Give them a chance, especially now in the fall, because we're getting into fall real quick here. So that means bigger baits will catch bigger fish, and you can avoid the little guys by going to bigger baits. Now, I do catch a lot of smaller fish with those, but now with the fluke power bait, I believe I have a shot at northern, walleye, muskie, bass, largemouth, smallmouth, and who knows whatever else, maybe a catfish. And don't think you can, there I go rubbing my nose with it again. Don't think you can't catch catfish or even carp on fake bait, because you can. I've caught numerous carp thinking it was bass on rattle traps, of all things. A rattle trap, really? Wow. So it happens. It's one of those things where you just, it's ridiculously crazy that you can pick up these things and go, all day fishing, and then all of a sudden you're catching everything in sight, and carp included. It's just fun. I just have too much fun fishing, and I can't explain it to you unless you've got the itch. And when you get the itch, you just can't let it go. I got to get a sip here. Me and my iced tea. Still on my diet. And yes, I've lost a few pounds, and you won't be able to tell it by looking at me sitting at my desk. But as the fall starts coming along here, as we start getting it more and more into the fall pattern, you can tell you're getting into the fall pattern when you start to have cooler nights, because at night those fish are starting to feed earlier before it gets dark. And then when it gets dark, they kind of hunker down. And they'll stay that way until morning. And then when the temperature starts going up, so will they. They'll come up. They'll start looking for feed, whether it be minnows or whatever. And some will even stay in one spot longer. And they'll just, opportunists, whatever comes by, they'll eat and they'll stay. They won't expend the energy. So those are ideas that you might want to think about. You don't have to, go crazy. Pick spots that hold fish. If you've been fishing all year, even once a week, certain spots is where you've been catching those fish. And if you've been keeping a log, like I've been telling you all along in the beginning of spring, I said, make some logs. Where you caught the fish, what the depth was, the wind, all the weather and all that stuff, and what bait were you using. And now's the time you start looking back and saying, okay, I caught them here, 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 and here. And, wow, I've been using this bait or this crankbait or whatever, and this is where I've caught these fish. Hey, go back to those spots. Those are now your hot spots, all right? When you catch something more in one spot, more fish in one spot, that is considered your hot spot. Now, you can fish a whole lake. I go fishing, I guarantee you, we're out there 4 or 5 hours, maybe even 6. Lately it's been 6 because when you get a pattern and you start following that pattern, even into the fall, that pattern will hold all the way up until it gets where the average temperature is 50 degrees. And then you'll start going more down into the weeds and more away from. See, fish, the weeds will hold a comfort zone for them. They don't have to be chased by other fish. They're not really willing to expend a lot of energy. So all they've got to do is wait for food to come by them. And they're opportunists. So as it comes by, boom. Now, if the water raises up a couple degrees, they may go venture out a little bit. But more than likely, that's when pike and muskie start really getting crazy. And you'll catch some bass along with them. But you'll see more activity in the big toothy critters. And that's another reason why I like using the flukes. I like using the flukes because that's a dying bait fish. That's the way I always try to make it look like twitch it up, let it fall. Twitch it up, let it fall. And by doing that, I push it to make it look like it's dying. And if it's dying, well, then guess what? They're going to be opportunists and they're going to eat it. And who knows? If I get in a school of them, first come, first served. He gets the hook. And then after he gets the hook, here comes number 2. And you get that one back in the boat. And put him on the other side of the boat or put him in a live well or whatever you're going to do with him. And then go back to that same spot. And before you know it, you've caught probably 4 or 5 fish out of the same spot. Sorry. I get to talking and I forget to really take some air, and now I'm yawning in a sense. So, but as we move along here into the fall, don't be afraid to not give up your plastics. But power baits are probably going to be your friend. Jig, Mr. Twister, something that gets your attention, that gets their attention in plastics. Rattle traps, lipless crankbaits always seem to do really good in the fall. Crankbaits in general will do good, but I like the lipless crankbaits because if you can just catch the tops of the weeds, the hooks are hidden behind that lure's nose. So it's not like you're diving into them like you would with a flat-nosed crankbait. Some of the square build crankbaits, they say they'll pull them around, but I don't know. The round ones, I would think the round ones would do it better, but they don't. Once you get it caught on a line, that's about all she says about it, because you're just trying to nick the tops of those weeds. And with a lipless crankbait, if you lift your rod up, it'll come up too. With a deep diving crankbait or a shallow diving crankbait, there's a lip there pushing it down. So when you raise your rod tip, it actually pushes it down further. So I like lipless crankbaits. They always seem to work for me, and I hope they work for you. I'm trying also to get some music hooked up here so we can play some music real quick, and I can go get some juice, tea, whatever, and you can enjoy some music real quick. But it seems like I forgot where I put it. No, I didn't. I really didn't. But I got to play something that we can play on the tube without having issues. So let's go to I got a whole list of songs. No, they're gonna yell at me about that one. I get tired of being yelled at about the you used a song that you need a license for. Well, I have a license. Hello. But they don't want to hear that. All right, let's go with Shad Rap. Let's play with that one. 1 pike, 2 pike. Here we go.
1 pike, 2 pike, 3 pike, 4.
Let's hit the lake again and catch some more. My name is Chad Chewalski.
And I'm DJ Sweeney, and I got a little story about a slimy green meanie.
Some call it a water wolf.
Some call it a snake.
And you can find them in the rivers.
You can catch them in the lake.
If you ever grab a hold of one, your hands are gonna smell.
Yeah, and careful where you hold them, they're ferocious as hell.
They got a mouth like a gator.
And a body like a hog.
They'll bend your rod over.
Like your snake down a log.
But that's the type of fishing
that we both like. I wanna
catch a pike. Catch a pike. Catch a pike. 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 Catch a pike.
When we go pike fishing,
we head her upstate
to our special secret spot
where the fishing's great.
We use the trolling motor
and we go along the shore.
We work around the bays,
throwing spoons galore.
I was guessing the Cleo
and I used the red eye.
I think that I'm gonna catch the first one.
What? No way, guy.
With me and Shad.
It's a fierce competition.
Yeah, we're always best friends until it comes to fishing.
I turned it through a cast
into the middle of the lake,
reeled the lure in,
and it was followed by a wake.
Then the water erupted. What a violent strike!
Yo, Shad, what is it?
It's a pike. Catch a pike. Catch a pike. 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 Catch a pike.
Well, Shad was busy reeling.
And Sweeney grabbed the net.
It was coming in easy.
Yeah, I didn't break a sweat.
He got it to the boat and said,
"Hey, guy, I caught her."
Then the pike took off, screaming out the deep water.
I finally got it in.
And it was mad as hell.
It got me all slimy.
Yeah, man, do you smell?
Well, this'll be one northern.
That won't be released.
I'm gonna bring it to the wife.
We're gonna have a feast.
I threw it in the cooler.
And we brought him home.
Filleted him up.
Hey, watch the Y-bones.
If you ever went fishing,
you probably know what it's like when you
catch a pike. Catch a pike. Catch a pike. 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 Catch a pike. God, I can't do that anymore.
Somebody say, hey, we want some crappie.
Hey, we want some crappie.
Let me hear you say, hey, we want some crappie.
Hey, we want some crappie.
You guys say, hey, we want some crappie.
Hey, we want some crappie.
Everybody say, hey, we want some crappie.
Hey, we want some crappie.
You see, me and the fellas all have this dream, and that's to make the cover of Crappie magazine. So today we went up north and put the boat in the lake to catch some bass and crappie for criminy cripe's sake. The Evan Rood was humming and we took a little ride so we could cast into the weed beds on the other side. Pete threw the anchor over as I rigged up my pole about a crappies what I set for my goal. Firing through some minnows on a crappie rig as I tipped a large maggot on the fuzzy head jig. We took our first cast, the lake was calm, not choppy, what a fishing condition if you like to catch crappie. Somebody say, hey, we want some crappie. Hey, we want some crappie. Everybody say, hey, we want some crappie. Hey, we want some crappie. Well, Pete got the first, it was a real humdinger, and in 45 minutes, guy, we filled up the stringer. We didn't catch a trophy yet, but just you wait, 'cause I switched to pork rinds and that's my secret bait. Crepes, I got a hit and it's the biggest one yet. Holy crap, it's a crappie, guy, better get the net. I hung it on my scale to see what it counts. This one's the state record, 5 pounds, 1 ounce. Now that's the biggest crappie that I ever seen, and it got me on the cover of Crappie magazine. Somebody say, hey, we want some crappie. Hey, we want some crappie. Everybody say, hey, we want some crappie. Hey, we want some crappie. You guys say, hey, we want some crappie. Hey, we want some crappie. Everybody say, hey, we want some crappie. Hey, we want some crappie.
Seriously, right?
Don't forget to tune in to the Dave in the Morning Show, Monday through Thursday, 6 to 8 a.m. Fridays for the Caveman Show, 6 to 9 a.m. Join Dave and his wacky crew as they bring a smile to your face with local news, weather, interviews, music, and a whole lot more. Just tune in to the Dave in the Morning Show, Monday through Thursday, 6 to 8, Fridays from 6 to 9. And if you're lucky, they'll club you and make a caveman out of you.
We are living like cavemen. We got cave girlfriends. And all we ever do is eat and make love, 'cause that's all a caveman does. Yeah, that's all a caveman does.
Dilly dilly.
Hey, don't forget to tune in to the Weekend Variety Show with Henry Stevens, Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Henry will keep you informed with local weather, entertainment, sports news, community announcements, and celebrity birthdays. That's right, celebrity birthdays. In addition to that, you'll hear a wide variety of music from the 1950s through today. And if you're lucky, he'll even tell you who's dead and who's alive.
The Green Hornets caught more fish than you've lied about, Gustafson.
Seriously, right?
Mr. Angler, how about we have fish for dinner tonight? You have recipe?
I certainly do, Mr. Wong, old buddy. We're going to start this one out with a little catfish jambalaya stew. Ooh, sounds good. You may want to keep some catfish and freeze them up for this stew for in the wintertime. You need 1 to 2 pounds of catfish nuggets, frozen, or you can do it fresh. It's up to you. 1 large onion, diced small. 1 quart cut okra. Bell pepper to taste. Diced lemon pepper to taste. Oh, I'm sorry, I read that wrong. Bell pepper to taste, diced, and then lemon pepper to taste. I say just use a bell pepper and deal with it. All right, now you need 1 jalapeno pepper, sliced, not diced. 1 can of cream of mushroom soup. 2 to 3 cups of rice. 2 to 3 cups of water. Black pepper to taste. Half a teaspoon of oregano and other spices to taste. I guess it's up to you what you put in it. 1 to 2 16-ounce cans Italian-style stewed tomatoes. Shrimp is optional. Sounds interesting. Put all your ingredients into a crock pot, including frozen fish. Cook for 6 to 8 hours on low heat until fish flakes and okra is tender. Tip: if fish are not frozen, cook other ingredients for 2 to 3 hours before adding fish. That's why they have to be frozen. Peeled deveined shrimp can be added 1 hour before stew is ready. Serve with jalapeno cornbread. That actually sounds really, really good. And again, if you ever want any of these recipes, just send me an email at martyangler13@comcast.net, and I will be glad if you tell me what recipe you'd like. I'll send it to you, because I never do just one. I always do two. And if you have any questions or any concerns or any tips that you might want, send it over. Send me a question. I don't care. I'll answer it. And I may even answer it on the show. All right. The second one here is a bluegill appetizer. And this one also comes with a cocktail sauce. That one's at the bottom. 2 to 4 bluegill fillets, dry white wine, juice of 1 lemon, cocktail sauce. Recipe follows, of course. Salt and pepper to taste. Cut fillets into 1/2 inch to 1 inch diagonal strips. Roll strips with skin side in and secure with toothpick. Place in microwave dish. Add white wine to cover bottom of dish. Drizzle fillets with lemon juice. Season with salt and pepper to taste, or use commercial seafood seasoning. Poach in microwave on high for 3 to 5 minutes or until fish starts to flake. Place in refrigerator to chill. Serve with cocktail sauce. And here's your cocktail sauce. Need 1/2 cup of chili sauce, 1 teaspoon horseradish or amount to taste. Okay, it's up to you. If you want more horseradish, add more horseradish. If you want less, add less. And you also need 1 teaspoon of lemon juice. Combine all the ingredients, stir well, and serve with fish. There you have it. There's your bluegill appetizer with cocktail sauce. And, hey, got to have some fish for dinner. Ain't that the truth? And I showed the camera the book I'm using. It's the NFC Members Cookbook. This is 1. I have another one. That's 2. Another one, that's 3. And another one, that's 4. And I have 2 others that I didn't pull out because they're really big ones. So I have several fish recipes. Quite a few, actually. When you got 6 books, you've got quite a few. And then I've got a couple over there that are not from the NFC or NAFC, North American Fishing Club. Yes, I am a life member. And, well, they don't do much anymore. But then again, for the price I paid for the life membership, I didn't think they'd be around a long time anyway. They're still around, but they're more like a ask a question and we'll answer it type deal. They have some member benefits still, but not as much as they used to. So, but anyway, Mr. Wong, what are you doing?
Mr. Angler, you got fish report for this week?
That's doesn't answer my question, but
When you look at that poor man.
all right, stop playing with the buttons, okay?
Dilly dilly.
All right, Mr. Wong.
The Green Hornets caught more fish than you've lied about, Gustafson.
Ever since the Poo Poo Palace closed, Mr. Wong has been a crazy person. We got to get him a restaurant. That's for sure. But we do have reports. I do have them up on the screen here. You can't see it from my video vantage point, but I have 3 monitors in front of me. I have 1, 2, 3 computers. No, I am not a geek, ladies and gentlemen, because if one breaks, I got to find somebody to fix it. I do like to use 2 monitors. I got used to doing that at work. So I have my work computer with 2 monitors, and then when I'm not working, I use my home computer with 2 monitors, and I have a flip switch that flips me back and forth from the other computer because I do have 2 computers hooked together. And why? I don't know, because I never turn the other one on anyway. But I use this one here for everything. I probably should use the other one for most of the stuff. and use this one for just recording and doing our Angling Waters Outdoor stuff. But that's when we move out to the studio, when we get the studio built in the future. I did talk to a contractor the other day. He came out and he looked at it, and a few other things, because I do want to have some other work done around the house here. And I told him what I wanted to do, and he just kind of smiled. He says, "Oh yeah, we can do that." So I'm looking forward to that, and piece of cake. So it's just going to take time. I got some other stuff that's got to start first before I can get the studio built. And when I get the studio built, we will definitely show that on YouTube, and we'll do all of our shows with any guests that we have will come from the studio. Probably record the shows out there for whatever venue I'm on. Hopefully someone will come through, and WHIW will be a long-term thing for me. But if it isn't, we still have other venues to go to, and you're more than welcome to join us there. Just because you don't hear us on the radio doesn't mean we're out there somewhere. Like I said, we're on Spreaker, we're on iHeart, Spotify, and all the rest of them. iTunes, or whatever it's called nowadays, Apple Tunes or Apple Fritters, who knows, whatever. But anyway, speaking of apple fritters, that's a good idea. I got a taste for apple fritters. Anyway, stop talking and move along. That's me. I'm yep. Okay, I just looked at the camera. Anyway, so we're going to go to Wisconsin for our report, our first report. Up in the Door Peninsula area, bass fishing has been very good as far south as Little Sturgeon and up north to Washington Island, with good action in 12 to 20 feet of water on a variety of lures and baits. Fishing on Lake Michigan has been good for a mix of kings and rainbows in 200 to 600 feet of water while fishing the top 70 feet. Walleye fishing has been outstanding for the trollers with a rip jig fisherman. Perch fishing has been going well and should continue to stay good right through the summer into fall. We're in the middle of summer, so I hope this is a new report. Yep, as of today. All right. So anyway, as it goes along, areas to include downtown Sturgeon Bay, the Flats, Sawyer Harbor, Little Sturgeon, Riley's Bay, and the deep water mud from Chadors or Chowdors, dock south to Bayshore Park. Sorry if I mispronounced that. Howie's Tackle up there at 920-764-9916 if you're heading up that way. Eagle River area. Warm fronts in the fall are as bad on the fish as cold fronts in the spring. Let's hope for some consistency in the weather in this water. Oh, wow. Tongue-tied. Let's hope for some consistency in this water temperature drop. Weeds are beginning to die off, especially in the shallows. Walleyes are hitting pretty well, but mostly smaller ones. On the Eagle River chain, the fishing has been good in the shallow weeds, as shallow as 4 feet. On light jigs and crawlers, on the larger lakes, the fish are in the weeds in 8 to 14 foot range, providing good action even during the day. Bass action for both species remain great. Plastics and surface baits are working best for largemouth, with spinner baits close behind. For smallmouths, try drop shotting deeper on the gravel and hard bottom. Leeches will work well as live bait. Muskie action is good right now, but all in all has been an unusual year. That's the truth. It took so long for the water to warm up that this spring was slow until July. With weed growth and warmer water now, the action is normal. Bucktails and surface baits are working well. Eagle Sports Center, 715-479-8804 if you're going up to the Eagle River area. And people in Illinois, pay attention, because what's going on up north right now, you'll be doing in a couple of weeks. As the temperature starts to drop, we follow them. So whatever they were doing last week, we're doing this week. And in the springtime, it's in reverse. Whatever we're doing this week, they're doing next week. Up in the Hayward area, muskie action is improving, with anglers catching some nice fish on bucktails, meps, swim jigs, spinner baits, bulldogs, and topwaters. Walleyes are on deeper vegetation or rock, gravel, timber, and cribs in 10 to 18 feet. Use flatheads and leeches on split-shot rigs under slip bobbers. Anglers are catching northern pike on deeper weeds and structure with spinnerbaits, jigs, minnows, and topwaters. Largemouth are on deeper weeds and structure, with anglers catching fish on rigged worms, spinnerbaits, frogs, and surface baits. Smallmouths are in and around rock and gravel areas, and anglers are using crankbaits, tube jigs, and swim baits. Hayward Bait, 715-634-2921 if you're heading up there. And then we'll get into Lake Michigan, the Metro Lakes area. In Sheboygan, fishing success has been pretty average, with a mixed bag of rainbows, Lakers, and kings. There is also a handful of decent cohos being caught. It seems as though anglers have been bringing in more kings than previous weeks. Most boats are averaging 5 fish. Anglers with the most success targeted Chinooks in the morning and in deeper water, and Lakers rainbows when coming in shallow. In Port Washington, action started to pick up a little last week. Most anglers were targeting kings, cohos, and rainbows. Some anglers were able to bring in 3 to 5 fish per trip, but others were not successful at all. In Milwaukee, fishing efforts at South Shore seemed to pick, while Bender Park remained relatively slow. Most boats had a few fish, mainly steelheads and coho. Something's backing up. Oh no. I hope they don't hit my house. Oh no, they're going to hit the studio. Ah! No, I don't have any sound effect for that. All right. Where were we? At the Oak Creek Power Plant, a few anglers on the far end of the pier reported little action. In Racine, good success has been reported by anglers throughout the week, with a mixed bag of trout and salmon. Anglers found success with a variety of different depth and bait combinations from 80 feet to over 200 feet, with flasher, flies, and spoons, and the spoon rigs. I'm sorry, that was crazy. All right, Kenosha, steelhead, and cohos were caught between 60 and 190 feet using flashers and flies. Madison area, Lake Mendota smallmouth action has slowed a bit, but walleyes are still fairly active. Smallies and walleyes have been caught the best on the rock bars, with the walleyes in 14 to 19 feet over the bars. Mendota perch action has picked up. Still not a crowd pleaser, but there has been some action in 8 to 9 feet in the weeds in a number of spots. DNS Bait and Tackle, 608-244-3474 if you're heading that way. We're heading down to Illinois now. Lake Michigan, the trout and salmon bite has dropped off a bit, with the fish pushing out a little deeper. The boats are finding fish in 80 to 100 feet of water in the morning, and fish are pushing out to 100 to 120 feet range later in the day. Fish are being caught from Chicago all the way up the state line, and as you heard before, up into Wisconsin. There have been reports of a lot of kings, as well as some decent numbers of steelhead. As of late, small and medium spoons and J-plugs have been top producers. Baits run 8 to 10 colors. And, fishermen have been finding that speeds of wrong line. Baits run on 8 to 10 colors of lead core on a board have been deadly. Fishermen have been finding that speeds of 2.4 to 2.8 miles per hour on the graphs have been best. Spoons that have been hot are Bloody Nose, Hey Baby, Monkey Puke, and of course, glow colors in the early morning and sunset. The bite is fast and furious at daybreak and sunset, but fish are being caught all day long. Some boats are venturing out to deeper water, 180 to 200 feet of water, finding quite a few steelhead. The steelies are taking orange crush spoons in the top 35 feet of the water column. Panfish bite is good as usual, and the boat docks are offering good structure and shade for the fish. Waxworms on a single hook or on a white shrimp under a slip float have been doing well. Worked areas 7 to 8 feet of water near weeds. Crappies are suspended over deeper water, as well as some of the larger bluegills. Watch your graph on the break lines, and you'll find that suspended fish. Minnows or jigs under a float or small crankbaits have put some good limits in the boat. In the evening hours, watch for birds and surface splashing, and you'll find the white bass. The whites have been schooling the minnows and busting the schools at the surface. Cast line spinners or small crankbaits into the action. It'll be a non-stop fish while the schools are around. Non-stop fishing while the schools are around. I didn't. Wow, I didn't know we had whitefish out on Lake Michigan. But then again, I just been a while since I really fished Lake Michigan. But that's a good idea. I think I will. Maybe we'll hit it up this year. Walleye bite has really died down, but fish can be still found in the evening. Catch the fish as they move up from the deeper water into the weedy areas. Twitch baits like X-Wraps as well as standard jig and minnow combinations have been catching fish. Concentrate on deep water near current areas. The upper portion of the Fox has been producing walleyes. Troll shad wraps on long lines and change up your speeds. Wait a second. I think they gave me 2 reports in one. Anyway, I think the bottom part of that is I think once we hit the panfish, that was all the Fox chain of lakes. Muskies are hit and miss with big fish out there to be had. Best fishing has been the early morning hours on black buck tails or twitch baits over weed beds, or on surface baits work slowly. They do have these fish out in Lake Michigan. I just have never heard of people catching numbers like that. So this has got to be the Fox chain of lakes. So if you want to get some chain time in, there you go. Braidwood catfish bite is really hot and heavy. Both shore and boat fishermen have been showing good catches of fish. Heading down south, Baldwin Lake, bluegill anglers are picking up fish, bass picking up with cooler temperatures, and catfish are fair on worms. Carlisle Lake, catfish are being caught on night crawlers, stink baits, and leeches. Crappies are rated good on minnows and jigs. White bass and saugers are rated good. Saugers are being caught on jigs tipped with minnows or night crawlers. Crankbaits have also been effective. Wren Lake, crappies have been caught in good numbers in 10 to 15 feet of water over brush. Minnows and jigs have been effective. Catfish are still rated excellent on stink baits, cut baits, shad gut, night crawlers, and leeches. Bass are good on soft plastics, rattle traps, spinner baits, and square bill crankbaits, and shallow bays near brush. Bluegills are good on the back of necks on crickets, waxworms, and red wigglers. Let's see. Lake Shelbyville walleyes are still active below the spillway on jigs and twisters, or shad bodies. Crappies being caught with jigs over deadfall trees, mostly in the shallow end. Large bass being caught on a mixture of spinner baits, spinners, crankbaits, jigs, or plastics. Lake Clinton, catfish are being caught on worms, shad, guts, leeches, stinkbait, shrimp, walleye, good, largemouth hitting, spinners, and buzz baits. There you have it. There's your Illinois and Wisconsin's reports. And wow, we got some time to spare. Not much, a few minutes.
When you look at that poor man.
I guess. And you thought I turned off the thing already, huh? No, I'm not done yet. So, as I said before, I'm not sure what's going to happen after October 1st with this show. If we don't return, it's been fun, and I'll keep telling you that. But if we do, thank you. If you want to subscribe, go on the WHIW website, look under sponsorship or sponsors, and you can sponsor. Make sure you put on there Angling Waters Outdoors. Otherwise, Dave gets them all. So, Dave in the morning, Monday through Friday. But if you're interested in hearing more of my antics and fish reports and what's going on at the present time, because all the shows, I try to give you what's going on today, what with what we're doing, or what we would do if we were going out. So, as that's being said, just remember, you can pick us up somewhere else, many platforms. If you have a question or you're looking to find a way to catch us in the future, or you want to go to the YouTube channel, Angling Waters Outdoors YouTube channel, Marty Angler 13 at Comcast.net is the email. Also have AWO show at Comcast.net. Either one of those, you can hit me up for questions or anything fishing related. Or if you just want to say hey, say hey. Anyway, I think I pushed my button far enough, don't you? What do you think? I pushed something. I don't know what it is, but I guess it's time for me to get out of here. So you guys have a great day, and remember, check us out on YouTube because there's a video out there of this show. Until next week, we'll talk later. Ciao, and good fishing.
Okay, you go now. Show over. Mr. Angler say you come back next week. Maybe we have more stuff. Bye-bye.
The Green Hornet's caught more fish than you've lied about, Gustafson.